Okay, are we? Yeah, I think we're good to begin. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Marina Martin-Zaid. I am an Education USA advisor at the PUC-Rio office. Welcome to our first ever Education USA Brazil virtual roadshow. During this whole week, we will have around 33 US higher education institutions speaking on different days on different topics. It started yesterday, and this week it goes until Thursday. The events will be at 6 p.m. Rio time. And then on Saturday, we have two sessions, one at 11 a.m. and one at 2 p.m. also Rio time. To our representatives here tonight, thank you so much for taking the time out to be here with us. Our panel today is about short-term certificate intensive English programs at US institutions. I hope you enjoy it. I will now pass the mic over to Dani.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Marina. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Daniele Marina, and I'm an Education USA advisor in the city of Recife. It's great to be with you all tonight. Our presentation will be in English, but I'm going to switch to Portuguese for just a bit, okay? Olá, gente, boa noite a todos, sejam bem-vindos. Eu sou Daniele Marina, sou orientadora do Education USA aqui em Recife, tá? E o Education USA é uma rede global de centros de orientação, tá? No Brasil a gente tem 40 centros e nosso foco é em representar todas as universidades americanas e oferecer orientações, no caso, com informações precisas, abrangentes e atualizadas sobre as melhores oportunidades para estudar nos Estados Unidos. Contem com a gente. Hoje a gente tem um evento super especial e para que a gente possa ter uma noite ainda mais especial, eu vou dar algumas instruções para vocês, tá? O nosso chat, ele vai ficar desativado e a gente pede para que vocês coloquem todas as perguntas de vocês na parte que tem Q&A, tá? Na aba Q&A aqui no Zoom, porque aí a gente vai ter um time especial de advisors, de orientadores, podendo responder diretamente para vocês e algumas perguntas que são mais amplas, mais gerais, né? A gente pode trazer ao final se houver tempo para isso. Mas lembrem-se que ao final da apresentação, a gente vai ter também as salas exclusivas de cada representante que está aqui hoje. Então, vocês podem também fazer perguntas específicas para cada universidade nessas salas ao final, ok? Uma outra coisa que é bem importante é que, enfim, vamos lá, a gente, enfim, vai até mais ou menos às 7 horas e depois eu dou algumas dicas finais para vocês para a gente seguir para essas outras salas, tá certo? Vamos então começar o nosso painel. Espero que vocês aproveitem tanto quanto nós. Let's start our panel. Thank you very much.
Hi, everybody, and thank you so much for joining today's panel and being here to listen to the representatives here today to talk to you all about shorter programs, certificate programs, and intensive English programs that are available to you all in the United States, especially if you're considering studying in the US for academic purposes. So today with us, we have Ryan Griffin, who's with the University of Missouri. My name is Sujay Ronquillo, and I'm with the California State University at Monterey Bay. We have Alice Trinidad, who's from Greenville University. We have Karina Silva, who is from Iowa State. We have Sandra Lizama, who's from Full Sail University. And we have Roxanne Diaz, who's with us from Stanislaus State. And next slide, please. Awesome. So I'm so glad that you guys are taking the time to engage and work with Education USA. You will find that they're such a great resource, and they're pretty much a one-stop shop if you are searching for programs to study in the United States. So some of the programs that we wanted to talk to you about is our programs that are for a shorter period of time. So for these programs, it's for students who are looking to do a program either for several weeks, for a semester, a year, or for a special period of time. Some common programs that are considered short-term that are available at US institutions are programs that are exchange, study at, English intensive, and special programs. Exchange programs that are available normally work on a bilateral agreement between two universities. So for exchange, it's normally a university that's out of the United States that has an agreement within a university here in the United States to provide the exchange option for students. This option is normally for students who are looking to do more of a study abroad program. These programs tend to follow the academic calendar of the host institution. So you'll find that it can be a quarter, it can be a semester, it can be a year as well. For these programs, the costs will vary, but normally with exchange programs, students pay tuition to their host university. So normally whatever it is that they pay at their home university is what they will pay for the semester or a year abroad. And included in those fees obviously are going to be housing, personal expenses, and any other student fees that they may need to pay for. Study at programs are very similar to exchange programs in which students can join a host university for a semester or a year. The difference between these two programs is that there is no need for a bilateral agreement. So pretty much any student who meets the requirements can apply and participate in study at programs. And you'll find that a lot of institutions provide and offer these programs. With study at programs, students can enroll in academic courses in various subjects that you can either use towards your undergraduate degree or that you can use later on in your academic career. Study at programs also give students the opportunity for you to shop around. I'm not sure if you've heard of the word shopping around for campuses, but study at programs give you the opportunity to study at a campus for a semester or a year. You get to know your professors, you get to know the curriculum, really get to know the layout and format of the campus and see if this is the right fit for you. And what's awesome about that is that you can study, at one institution for one semester and then study at another institution for another semester. And then, maybe there decide what campus you want to move forward with to apply for your full degree. With both exchange and study at programs, requirements will vary, but most likely students are required to show English language proficiency. And normally exams that are accepted are TOEFL, IELTS, PTE. Some campuses may accept Duolingo. With English intensive programs, which we will get more into detail in the next few slides, these programs, again, are a great way to study in the US for a shorter period of time. These programs can be customized for a specific duration. I know, for example, at my campus, we offer English intensive programs at 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But we also follow the academic calendar. So some of these programs can be for a semester or a year as well. And finally, we have specialized programs, as I mentioned. This is more specific to student needs and student interests. For example, at my campus, for one summer, we offered a student success seminar. And this was for students who were looking to improve their academic English skills. We also offered an English and film program in the summer where students got the opportunity to enhance their English, but also learn about cinema. So you'll find that, many campuses will offer and develop their own specialized programs, and costs and requirements will vary. Next slide, please. And now my colleague Roxanne will talk to you a little bit more about some of the short-term programs that are offered at her campus and other programs that you may want to look into.
Thank you, CJ. And again, thank you for joining us today. As CJ mentioned, there's lots of different opportunities for students with short-term programs or even specialty programs. One that I'm going to be talking about specifically is one that we just launched this year for Stanislaus State. And like our campus, there's various different opportunities on different campuses. So we're kind of molding to fit the needs of students. So one of the offerings we are offering this summer is the High School Intercultural Leadership. So what does that mean? It's for students that are still looking around as well and want to start their experiences with U.S. institutions like ours during their high school year. It is all virtual, so there's no need to worry about, oh, have I completely finished my high school in Brazil, or am I going to be able to travel to the US? It's all virtual. And we've customized these programs to shorter terms. So for example, our sessions for our high school intercultural leadership program, we have two sessions, a 2-week session or a 4-week session. Within these sessions, students are really able to engage with college professors as well, and high school students that are here in the US as well. We're trying to connect students from around the world to really start to experience that college atmosphere and experience, for example, what California has to offer, what our region has to offer. With this program, we are trying to set up students for success, and it's in the name for leadership. So we do strike on options of how to increase your leadership skills, whether it's be presentations, or if you are into maybe looking into a career in politics or academics in politics. This program is specified for that type of learning experience, and you're connecting with peers that are either in California already or other international students as well. And our program in California, since Stanislaus State is located in Turlock, California, we're in the central region. We're a smaller town, but we have quite a bit to offer. Okay, next slide. Yeah. The other program virtually is our Study App program. And I won't go into great details since Jay kind of mentioned it already, but the Study App program is a shop around, if you'd like to say. With this program, you could do a semester or 2. Keep in mind those courses that you are taking with the Study App program will go into your degree, whether you want to take your credits home to your home university, or if you are looking to another university within the US. Most of these courses are transferable. And then we also do tell students to keep in mind, just because a class is offered 1 semester through our Study App program, it might not be an opportunity for, say, 5 semesters down the road. And this Study App program, it is a mirror image of our semesters. So if you're essentially integrated with all students that are trying to earn their degree or a full load of study, with the opportunity of virtual study at Stan State, you have the opportunity to take 1 class or 2 classes, or take the full load, which would normally be if you are here on campus. The cost per unit is $428. And so typically a class is about 3 units. So depending if you want to take 1 class, 2 class, or if you are indeed interested in a full-time study, which would be what you would normally take if you are on campus. They do have English requirements, just like on many other campuses. And like Sujay mentioned, many of our campuses are accepting different forms of English proficiency. I think this pandemic has actually helped us in a way to broaden of how we can work together in a worldly manner. But for us right now, for Stanislaus State in specific, we do take Toefl, IELTS, Duolingo, and then we do more of a case-by-case basis because we are a much smaller campus. But I always say communicate with the prospective university, especially in these short-term programs. We tend to be able to help students a little bit more, and they're all very customized per campus. Yeah.
Great. So we're going to talk a little bit about certificates as well. If you can jump into the next slide. So there's a lot of benefits that come from getting a certificate. And I think since the pandemic happened, a lot of people have moved towards looking into certificates while they're able to study from home. They're not wanting to really do anything long-term at the moment. So there are a lot of benefits, and learning in demand is one of them. You have the flexibility of taking your classes at any time that best suits for you. Usually people who we have taking those online certificates are usually people who already have, a full-time job, or they have other careers. So this is just something that works best for them. Also, giving yourself a head start towards a bachelor or master's degree is also a benefit from this. So maybe you're still in high school, you're about to graduate, you want to go on campus, you don't want to do online, but you don't want to lose any time in between now and maybe, schools opening up during this time, because we just really don't know what's going to be happening in the next couple of months. So one great thing is that you could do a certificate with, I know many of us universities, and those credits could, in the long run help you out with either a bachelor's or a master's degree. So it's credits that would, be benefiting you in the long run towards the career that you want to be doing. So you can also, earn those certificates much faster and conveniently. There are a lot more short-term programs, as we've been mentioning before. So, and also because they're short-term and they're online, it's a lot easier and more convenient to you. But let's say you're someone who also has already gotten a degree. I've actually been running into a lot of students who have masters or have a bachelor's already, and they kind of just want to get something that's going to pair well what they already have with their bachelor. So let's say if you're a student from for media, and you're interested in working with a tech program and designing more of a better interface for tech software, then maybe there's different programs that you could that could help you benefit you in the long run with your career and be able to just enhance your capabilities a lot better. So that would help you gain a lot of competitive advantage within your own industries. So I know a lot of us different schools that are present here and that will be present throughout the week with Education USA are offering a lot of different types of certificates. It's really up to you to figure out how well it would pair off with your career and where it's going to be heading in the next couple of years. I think that with COVID and everything, it's changed a lot of people's perspectives in the direction that your career is going to be taking. So this is a great opportunity to probably explore some different types of certificates that could help, enhance your career or give you a better skill set. So the next slide has some examples of the certificates that we're offering at Full Sail, but I know it's certificates that a lot of other universities are also probably offering or that are similar to what we are offering. But we got application development fundamentals. We had, a lot of people who probably didn't care about a digital interface a year ago or 2 years ago have to fully go online and have to develop apps, or depending on what their service and product is. So a lot of people are looking into learning this skill set so that they can offer that within their own, services or whatever it is that they do in their career. We got instructional design and technology. We've had a lot of teachers who are now trying to get into this more technological aspect of teaching because they had no other choice but to, fully go online. So we have teachers who are really trying to just not do a full program, but just get a certificate that's going to help them become, a next level type of professor or teacher that's going to benefit their students in the long run. So this is another program that's available. It's 4 months and different certificates depending on the university. The terms are going to be different. For us, it can range between 4 to 7 to 9 months. Another certificate that's available that I know many universities also have is a digital marketing certificate. Then we got computer science. Maybe you're looking into going into the tech universe, but don't know the fundamentals of programming or coding or anything like that. So computer science, the certificate could kind of give you that foundation so that you can now move on and start developing more softwares, or depending on what it is that you want to do in the future. Just keep in mind that a lot of these programs, you do need the English exam, like was mentioned before. I know we're going to be talking about it soon. So just keep in mind that that's some of the questions that you're asking when you're trying to apply for some of these certificates is, what are the English requirements? And I know they're going to talk about that now. So next person.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Sandra. So Karina and I are going to talk a little bit about intensive English programs. And before we jump into that, I just wanted to make note that we're going to use the term intensive English program, or IEP, but that there's often a lot of other terms that may encompass or signify the same sorts of programs. So American English program or academic English program, English learning program, or ELP. So many of those are going to kind of refer to these same types of programs that are specifically for students who are wanting to improve their English language skills. So kind of keep that in mind. And then I'll also echo the comments that we've already had from all our presenters, that you certainly want to reach out to the individual institutions that you're interested in, regardless of a certificate program, a short-term program, an intensive English or academic English program. Make sure that you're communicating with people like us in those offices, because we're here to help, and we certainly want to make sure that you have all the information to make the best decisions as to the program that that is suiting you. So Karina, would you like to jump in and lead us off here?
Sure. Hi, everybody. So intensive English programs, they vary. There are different ones in the country, like Sue mentioned before. But usually, in general, the purpose is the student wants to improve their English. Maybe they want to improve their English because they want to prepare to study at the university that they selected. So for example, they want to study engineering, and then they want to improve their English first and then study engineering at the university. So intensive English programs help them improve their English and prepare for their academic work. Intensive English programs also help with culture. Some of the students might want to come to the United States to study English, improve their English, and learn about American culture, have the immersive kind of experience in the US. And in this respect, learning more about American culture is something that students are interested in, and most intensive English programs would help with. In terms of goals, as I mentioned before, some of the students, they want to study English. So they're English language learners, they come here, they want to improve their English. But some of the students, they want to study at the university that they applied for. And many times, and you have the term there, conditionally admitted students. It means that they admitted to the university with one requirement, one little thing they need to do, which is get a standardized test score to be able to study their academic work. Standardized tests are tests like Toefl, IELTS, Duolingo, and many others. And different universities will accept different tests, and sometimes with slightly different scores, depending on the level of the degree that the student wants to study. Next slide, Ryan.
And real quick, actually, before we go on, Karina, I might—
Please do. Please jump in, yes.
for students that maybe aren't familiar with that term, conditionally admitted, coming from an admissions officer side, that's going to be where students' long-term goal may be to earn that bachelor's or even a master's degree, a graduate degree. And student may actually apply to the university. For example, through my office at the University of Missouri's International Admissions Office, we'll have students that apply academically. They meet our requirements, but they might not yet have the English level that we would require for students to start. So we would issue then a conditional admission letter showing that they are academically admissible to that academic program that they applied to, and then also laying out within that an offer of admission to our intensive English program where they can study English up to the point where they're ready to proceed into that academic program. One other point that I would maybe add here is that for those of you who may be already in your profession, there are also specialized English programs that can be for specific professions. Again, you'll want to contact and look at any of the different programs you're thinking about, but English for business, English for law, English for medical professions. These are programs that some intensive English programs or English centers will be able to put on that are very specialized for students or learners who want to have a specialized vocabulary within English. Yeah, thanks, Karina.
Of course. I am assuming you want me to continue, so I'll just go ahead. The length of the program is the amount of time that you're studying. I saw in the Q&A section that some of you were asking, how long am I going to study there? Some intensive English programs might have specifically designed short-term programs that was mentioned before, and some of those can be very short. Some intensive English programs, they have sessions that are 4 weeks long, 8 weeks long, sometimes the whole semester. It depends. And the amount of time that students stay in the program, it depends as well. I mean, it might be one semester, they get their standardized test score they need, they are ready to move on. Or it might be a little longer if they would like to continue improving their English for more time. Many programs, they will have calendars that are similar to the university calendar. And I saw a question in the chat as well about vacation time in Brazil. And sometimes that aligns with the vacation time in Brazil. Sometimes it's not exactly the same. But again, it depends on what you want to study and where you want to study. Most intensive English programs, they have placement and orientation activities in the beginning of a session. The placement, they are tests, sometimes created by teachers in the program, sometimes commercial tests. But the purpose of the tests is to determine your English level. Knowing your English level will help the programs find the best class that suits your needs. The orientation activities involve information about the program itself and many times the university. So when students study at the universities, they will have access to different resources, activities, information, different things that they want to know about so that they can get involved and improve their English. In terms of class schedule, it will vary. It depends on the university and on the program. In general, it follows the university calendar, but exactly what class you're going to study and at what time may be slightly different depending on the programs. The minimum number of hours of instruction varies a little bit, but full-time students, those are students with F1 and J1 visas, they need to study for a certain number of hours, and this is an immigration requirement. And the programs will have at least those number of hours because of those students, sometimes a few more hours. I think, Ryan, we would say at least 18 hours per week for a full-time student, maybe 20 hours per week for a full-time student. Again, if you have an F1 or J1 visa. Ryan, would you like to add anything here?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Karina.
Okay, sure.
So I would add that, as Karina mentioned, that often the calendar for intensive English programs will mirror that of the university. And that's actually to the advantage of a student. So if we think back to the conditionally admitted students that we talked about, that academic calendar will be one where if a student is then able to reach the English level that they need to move on to academic study, there's an easy transition going directly from the intensive English program or the academic English program into the next semester, just starting right in with your academic classwork. That's also one where, as Karina mentioned, that with many intensive English programs that are affiliated with the university, students in that intensive English program will be counted as part of the overall university population. And as we're going to look at on the next slide, that also then means being able to take advantage of all of those university facilities, be those libraries, computer labs, student recreation centers, different programming that occurs on campus, that students would then be able to actually go and themselves immerse themselves in some of that American culture. Yeah, so I think we'll move on and finish up with our section here.
How about you just continue since you started it? So.
For sure. Yeah, so as we mentioned, some of the other resources that are available are going to be those campus resources that would be typically available to all students on campus. Again, a good question to ask about your intensive English program that you're looking at is campus housing available? I know at my particular university, students that come to study in our intensive English program are able to live in our university housing, which can be also another great way to have outside classroom study. So certainly learning English as you have maybe an English speaking roommate, you're living in an English speaking environment, that's going to add to and enhance what you're learning in the classroom with your instructors. It's also one that many intensive English programs will also offer extra benefits. So the ability to be involved in conversation clubs, partnering with native English speakers, being able to be maybe provided a certain topic to then be able to discuss on. Again, if we're thinking of maybe a conditionally admitted student or a student who's looking to go on to a graduate study, already pairing up with students within that department or academic area so that you already have a shared interest point where you're then going to be able to improve your English in a less formal setting. Social activities are very frequent. Again, part of that, like Karina mentioned, the American culture aspect that is also typically part of the mission of most intensive English programs. And so that way it really gives students a feel for what it's like to live here in the US. And then exiting the program, as we've mentioned, Karina mentioned the kind of the onboarding process will typically involve testing students to get a feel for their English level. That's going to be important not only for the instructors in the program, but also for students to give them a good grasp of exactly maybe how long they'll need to study to reach the English level that they either personally desire or that is required by the program that they intend to enter. So another question for your programs is if standardized test scores would be required. So I do know that on our campus, a student who is conditionally admitted to one of our undergraduate programs, we don't make them test outside of our IEP. So they can essentially go through the program and we then accept their completion of and essentially their certification from that program as then meeting our English requirements, and they're able to move directly into their program. That can look a little bit different from campus to campus. So that's certainly something that you would want to inquire about. And Karina, do you have any comments to finish us up here?
I guess just the test preparation activities, maybe we could add that because some universities some IEPs require students to have that standardized test score, they provide students with opportunities to practice. So if you need to take the TOEFL test, or the IELTS test, or the Duolingo test, you would have opportunities to get together with a teacher and other students, take the test, ask questions, and practice and prepare to take those tests and get the score that you need. So that's another thing that is available to people. Yeah. That's it.
And then Roxanne, did you have a few words you wanted to say about the program at Stanislaus that's virtual this year?
Absolutely. Again, due to the pandemic, we've kind of jumped on our toes and like many institutions, because of the virtual offerings, unlike the semesters in intensive English where you are mirroring academic study, some of the benefits of virtual offerings, and I know other campuses offer it as well, is they could be customized. So for example, you are excellent in communications, but your writing skills aren't quite there. And that's what's holding you, whether it be university study or even career-wise. We have opportunities where you can specialize in these programs. And as you can see from this slide, the cost associated with individualized programs usually tends to be smaller, and it's less classroom time or screen time, as we'd like to say. And like mentioned, many campuses offer the different varieties of online intensive English. And one of the ones that's been very popular for us is the Toefl preparation, because a lot of students have that fear of the Toefl and even to start their journey in studying in the United States. So we've gone ahead and set programs where within our intensive English that specifically focuses on your Toefl preparation. Our programs, we have a short-term program from summer, and then the fall also for virtual, you can take specific classes.
Great, thanks Roxanne. And I think now we're going to move to our final segment here, and we're going to hear from Alice regarding pathways.
Hi, thank you so much, but we can go to the next slide. There you go. So as you were listening to the ESL programs or the IEPs, so pathways is almost the same thing, but we word it differently. And actually pathways, what they do, they vary from institution to institution, but what they do is they try to build those skills and knowledge that you will need to thrive in your academic programs, in undergraduate programs. And they do have specific focus as well. This could be in leadership skills, this could be in technological or digital competencies. And as Ryan was mentioning, also can be English for specific purposes, as it is for business or legal or medical terms. But usually the pathway programs are 1 year non-credit programs. Some schools, or in our school, is a non-credit program. Some schools, they might give you some credits. It's flexible, the application, and the program entry points, it varies. You may want to check with different schools to see when is the entry point for their pathways, IEPs, or ESL programs. The transition to undergraduate programs is also guaranteed upon the completion of the pathway program. Not all the schools apply to this rule though, but you may want to check that out. And the tests, the standardized tests are waived once you complete the pathway program. Again, this also have different components. For example, in Greenville University, we also have athletics options bind to the pathway program. And several different institutions have other different concentrations to their pathway programs. So ours, it's completely face-to-face. It's not online, unfortunately. But I don't know if any other one from my colleagues wants to add anything about pathway programs.
I would add maybe really quick, Alice, that there can be some differences within pathway programs that some may have credit at the universities. I know that at my school, we've actually developed our own kind of pathway program that is a mixture of English coursework, as well as then courses that we've specifically kind of curated for students that we know that may not have the English level that they quite need yet to start with other courses. So if you think about maybe math courses, some science courses that are very lab intensive, courses that aren't going to have a high English level, we found that students are able to start in those courses while still improving their English level, and that way they can get a good start on their program while they're still finishing up that English study.
Exactly, like boosting their college readiness for their academic program.
And any of other panelists have a comment on pathway programs before we finish up?
I think we're good.
Well, great. So that concludes our prepared remarks today. Thanks again to everybody for joining us, and we're happy certainly to answer some questions here, as well as then meet you all in our individual Zoom rooms if there's any questions that you would prefer to bring to us there.
That's great, Ryan. Thank you everybody so much for your presentation. Dani has a few, if you don't mind just stopping the screen share so we can see all of you together, that'd be great. And Dani has a few questions that she'll bring up with you guys, and then you can take turns kind of taking a few of them.
Okay, thank you all for the great presentation. It was very good to know a little bit more about each of your institutions and about this variety of programs, right? So we had many different questions, and I hope the students also have the opportunity to talk to each one of you. But some questions that came a lot, well, I'll just grab some of the questions that were more frequent, and maybe you guys can give some ideas depending on how it works in each of your institutions or a general view. But one of them is if students can participate in like intensive English programs or certificate programs, no matter if they are like in high school or undergrad or grad. So what would you tell these students?
For us, they have to be already graduated from high school in order to start our intensive English program.
As Stanislaus said, it's depending on the program. If you're doing a virtual program, you can do in conjunction as you are still in high school. Now, if you are participating in our intensive English program here on campus, then it really depends on where in your academic study you are. And then we do have professionals who do our intensive English programs as well. So not necessarily using the intensive English to matriculate into the university.
And very similar to my campus at CSU Monterey Bay, if you're participating in our virtual intensive English program, then you can participate if you're in high school. Our certificate programs are designed for students who have already graduated. But again, it depends on the program that you're participating in.
Excellent. Okay, yeah, as you can see, it varies a lot, right? I'll just switch to Portuguese for a while. Então, gente, varia bastante, como vocês viram aqui, né? Eu fui para o português um pouquinho, porque a gente está falando também sobre Intensive English Programs, right? Então, para vocês que pretendem, pensam em estudar inglês na Universidade Americana, né? E talvez tiveram algumas dificuldades em entender aqui um pouquinho, né? Saibam que aí para o inglês os requisitos são mais tranquilos, claro, e muitas vezes não vai ter o requisito mesmo, né? Quanto à questão da língua e tudo. E aí vocês podem conversar mais diretamente com as universidades para conhecer um pouco mais sobre elas e sobre cada tipo de programa, okay? So, now another question. One thing that students always ask us, and we also saw here in the Q&A, is about the costs, right? Because sometimes for us here, it's a bit difficult to understand how the costs are like put together, you know? And so, for example, there was a question regarding like unit. What's a unit? So I pay this amount for a unit. A unit is a semester, or so this is one of the questions. Also, when we have like an amount for a specific program, is that for the whole program? What does it cover? So if you can just talk a little bit about costs, just to clarify some of these questions.
I can go first. So our costs, it really does vary depending on which program you select, whether you're going for a certificate or you're going for the intensive English program. And the intensive English program also varies on what level you're going to start. So for us, the student would have to take an English exam first to determine what level they would land in. And then depending on that, that's what the cost will be adjusted. So there is no set price for, you know, the total cost. It just depends on what level the student is at. Yeah.
At CSU Monterey Bay, for our intensive English programs, they're normally all-inclusive. So it'll be one flat rate that includes, if it's in person, for example, will include accommodation, meal plan, health insurance. And in addition, if it is for virtual, it'll also include the fee for orientation, include the fee for their official transcript at the end of the program. And so normally ours are customized, depending on the duration, depending on how many courses are part of the program, that's where the fee will be calculated. So for example, we have a 3-week summer program that's about $399. And again, if we were to offer it in a semester-long program, that's normally about $5,000. So it just depends how it's offered, depends what's included, if it's in person or if it's virtual.
Yeah, and I was going to add, I'm going to share a link in the chat to a short video that one of my colleagues made. That's about a 3-minute video that just kind of explains what a credit hour is and then how tuition billing at universities relates to a credit hour. It's a nice simple video that does kind of demystify some of what can be confusing there. It's also one where students should be aware that depending on the credits that they take, and sometimes even on different campuses, if those credits are in different academic areas or if they involve laboratory time or additional costs on behalf of the university, that the credit itself may have a slightly different charge to it. But that's a great question, and another reason to make sure that you're in good contact with the people at the school that you're looking to attend.
Absolutely, I'll add on to that. For us at Stanislaus State, our intensive English courses don't necessarily are associated with units. So when we talk about units, like Ryan mentioned, they're typically with the academic course. But like many of the other campuses as well, the cost associated all depends on your program and the specialty of it, depending whether you're online, when you're in person. Typically, say if you are on campus, it's all around you have those minimum hours due to immigration issues. So typically for a full-time study of intensive English, the cost for the program for a semester would be about $5,000. But you see in the difference with online, you could get customized programs for $300. So it always varies. And again, I'll reiterate, make sure you contact the institution you're interested in, because even within our campuses, we could say, you know, this program might not be the best for you. Why don't you try this one? And so always communicate.
Excellent. Yes, that's it, right? It varies a lot. That's the type of answer that we give students a lot, but that's true. So please make sure that you reach out to each university, each program that you are interested in, just so that you can get clear information about it all. Okay. And one thing that also came here was about like a timeline for application for these different programs. Can you please maybe talk a little bit about that? How early can students send their applications to you? What does it include in these different types of programs, just so that they can plan ahead of time?
I can go first. So for us, again, everything's so customized. If it is in person, typically our application deadlines will mirror that closely to the academic study, because we want students to have the opportunity to be able to apply for their visa, figure out their housing situation. So if it's in person, typically the deadlines will be, for example, for fall for us, they're usually around May or June. So it gives students in our calendar the summer. But if they're online, we're taking, like many campuses, if you tell us a week beforehand, like, I'm really interested in this program, we usually could make it happen, especially because it's virtual, for these short-term programs. Now, if we're talking about a university study itself, it depends on the calendar year, the calendar of the courses and when they start.
For our Pathways program, so we're always rolling in the admissions, and we're very flexible in our entry points.
Yeah, we're also really flexible at Full Sail. We take applications on a monthly basis. But just like Roseanne, if you're going online, it's going to be a much faster process, just because we don't have to worry about those visas or anything like that. If you are starting on campus, I always just recommend with us, start your process 6 months prior minimum to the month that you want to start, but we accept applications every single month.
And I would just add that for most programs, that application can actually open up about a year in advance of when a student may be thinking to enroll. So it's not a bad idea, even if you don't have, say, all of the tests taken that you think you're going to need to submit, or all of your documentation together. You can submit that application and kind of start the process. And that way you then will have communication already established with that university. Having an applicant number or a student ID number can then be helpful when you do submit documents later. So starting to apply early doesn't necessarily mean you have to have everything together at the time that you want to submit that application.
Dani, if I may, just on this same topic, I don't think it's even in the chat, but my question, how does the application, the documents that they need to send vary from the intensive English and certificate programs versus for undergrad program? Because I think a lot of people think of, wow, it's a lot of, they think about undergrad and think about how much they have to send. And so how does that compare to these shorter programs?
Not to put you on the spot, Karina, but knowing that you are our intensive English specialist here, would you want to respond to how your team reviews applications and what's required?
Sure. The admissions office actually does that. Basically, the students would go to admissions page at Iowa State University and submit the paperwork that they need to. And this is related a little bit to a question about high school. So they're gonna see if you passed high school, and there will be other things that you may need to add, it depending on what you want to do. If you just want to study English, you're applying just to the IEP. It is perhaps fewer documents that you need to submit. And if you do want to study something else, say engineering, and be considered for a conditionally admitted type of admission, then they will check, high school GPAs, which is kind of like an average of high school. So they need a high school transcript, and they will look at other documents as well. That said, like was mentioned before, I think that all universities tend to, at least they try to be very flexible and work with you, whether you are starting the process ahead of time, like 6 months or more ahead of time, or starting the process a little bit later. The biggest issue would be the visas, I would think, just like everybody else mentioned. I hope that answered the question, Marina.
I would like to add something on that. As an example, for us at Greenville University, the only difference between the Pathways program and someone applying to the undergraduate program would be the standardized English test. But if you graduate from the Pathway programs at our institution, it's guaranteed that you will upgrade, let's say, to the undergraduate program, and you don't have to submit the documents. The file's already there, so we just have to update the diploma for the university pathways.
Can I add something,
That's
Alice?
interesting.
Just to help,
Yeah,
to kind of help a little bit with what Alice is saying, because I saw the question in the chat, whether if they don't know English, do they need a standardized test score? And in that situation, I want to study English, I don't know English, I'm not applying to a degree program. No, you don't need a standardized test score, not to start with. You may need it later, depending on the program. If you're doing the pathways, then you need it, right, Alicia? So it's slightly different there.
No, like if they want to do the pathways, which they will have to, boost their English proficiency, they don't have to show any standardized tests. Mm-hmm.
Good. So that's in the beginning or the end? Like when they apply or after they're done? None of the two. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Not for us. Not for us.
Okay, cool.
Just to clarify just a tiny bit. So if a person is applying for an intensive English program, they will have to have their high school transcript. Will they have to have like letters of recommendation and essays and that kind of thing as well, or more of just the informational documents?
So really quick, for California State University, Stanislaus, for intensive English, they do not need so much of the formal documentation. Now, if they're doing some of the short-term programs, for example, Study Out, where they're actually taking the university courses or units, as we can say, then yes, but no need for letter of recommendation in either one of our programs, for us at least.
And I would think that's probably pretty common, Marina, that for intensive English program entry, that there's certainly we're not going to be sadistic and make someone who's wanting to learn English try and write a personal statement or provide something to us in English before they begin those studies, nor knowing that obviously if they've studied mostly in Portuguese, that maybe they're those who would recommend them would also probably have trouble in producing something in English. So typically those aren't going to be required unless it is a student, like we mentioned, that may be looking at a conditional admission into an undergraduate or graduate program as part of that. Then there may be some of those things that would be required.
Great, thank you.
Whoops. Okay. Okay. Excellent. And another question is regarding, I was just wondering on English language. So when we have a student who is applying for an English language program, so he does not need to have a standardized test, but how is he tested? I mean, when he gets to the university, so in terms of placement and so, just so that students know about it.
Many different programs have what they call is their internal placement. So when you are applying for their intensive English program, they have different levels. And so depending on where you fall on those levels is where they'll place you. And most of these tests, we understand you're trying to learn English or you're trying to perfect your English, however it may be, but they're not your typical standardized test. Some programs, including ours, will even have more of a discussion type to see where we can better fit your needs of English or help in English. So each campus is different. I know a lot of intensive English programs have different levels, and some are in general. For example, at San State, ours is more general. So what we do is we try to customize it, but we are a much smaller program. So keep that in mind. There's no need to say, oh, to study English, I already have to know, I need to be able to almost pass my TOEFL. No, each institution will have different levels available for you. And again, they're customized. So if you're looking for more of an intensive English to go on to university study, that's the route the university is probably going to try to help you with. If you're looking to have more of a conversation piece, then maybe they'll direct you in that area.
Okay, that's great. Well, I think we're coming to the end. We're getting to the end of this presentation. Thank you so much, you all, for bringing such a variety of information about different types of programs. I think the main idea that our main takeaway is that, well, it's amazing to see how many types of programs, different possibilities for our students. And for our students, please check with schools to see what types of programs they have, which one would be the best for you, depending on where you are in your life, your career, okay? So Marina, before we get to the end, would you like to add something?
I just want to thank you guys one more time for being here. It was wonderful. We had a pretty good turnout of over 400 people. The chat, we had over 170 questions. And so hopefully I'm going to put your Zoom links here in the chat for the students in just a second, and then they will follow you into your rooms. And I hope it just gets better and better still today. And thank you so much for your participation. It has been lovely. And it's so great to see that even with the pandemic, you guys are still offering so many options and so many different opportunities, and the virtual is also something that is greatly appreciated, especially for people here who really want to start or do something right now but can't. And so the virtual is great, and it's great to hear all of that. Kita, do you have anything you'd like to say? Kita's our react, she popped in here today.
Everybody, it's good to see familiar faces. Hi, Ryan, and all of you. Thanks for being here. And for the students, this is your opportunity to talk directly to admissions officers. Nobody in between. These are the people that will receive your applications and admit you. So do not miss that opportunity. Go to the Zoom links. You can spend 10 minutes in one, 10 minutes in the other one. Talk to all these universities and ask the questions that are more particular to their programs. And then you can follow up with Education USA. We have Plantão Education USA. All of you Portuguese speakers know these are office hours. That means every single day there is an Education USA advisor online waiting for you to talk to you in Portuguese and to clear your doubts. So look for educationusa.org.br and go to Plantão Education USA e fale com seu orientador em português. All right, thank you very much.